Devastated, confused, heartbroken. So many times in life we get thrown for a curve and don't know how to react.
I can tell you the first time I had sex, how was my marriage going to survive? It's over. I remember standing in front of the judge with my 3-week-old baby, looking at my ex. I saw the look on his face and it was complete rage.
Welcome to When Life Throws You a Curve and How to Make the Adjustment with your host, Katie Hamilton.
Hey everyone, welcome to When Life Throws You a Curve and How to Make the Adjustment. I'm Katie Hamilton. Thanks for joining me today. First, want to just share with everyone that my thoughts and prayers are going out to all who have been affected by the coronavirus and this definitely wild, unprecedented time in our country. And hopefully we are going to get past this quickly and with the least amount of trauma. But it has definitely been a wild few weeks for sure. So in preparing for today's episode, I actually had a pretty hard time. I wasn't anticipating having such a challenge with just the content, but it's really been a while since I've taken myself back to these events emotionally and mentally. And I'm really glad that I've waited as long as I have to share a lot of this, because if I hadn't allowed myself that time to really heal, and especially in light of, my divorce, because that was another wave, like a tidal wave of all manner of emotional things, as you can imagine, that took me a while to get over that as well. So I did have a little bit of, actually a lot more just struggle, like preparing for this specific episode. But I'm going to do the best I can to get through it well, and to adequately convey some of the experiences that I had. I even thought about maybe not sharing some of this stuff, but we were preparing to do a movie actually about Josh and my life. Just really a few months before it went to production is when he had his last relapse while we were married, and then the divorce ensued, and so that got put on hold indefinitely. And the conclusion we came up with in regards to that, with what to share and what not to share, is the same conclusion I've come up with regarding this podcast. And essentially, if I really am not open and transparent and share exactly, or as much as I'm able to remember and recall accurately, the details of how awful and traumatic my experiences were, it definitely minimizes the miracle that God performed in my life, and also the amazing high notes that I've experienced. So this by and large content today is not going to be pleasant. So either bear with me or skip on over it, because it's definitely eventful. But there's no time like the present, so let's do it. So where I left off last week, the last time I was kind of sharing about my early months of the marriage, I had heard from God and was super excited about these miracles that I was getting ready to experience, and had renewed hope, and was so excited to just get on down the road and start living the good life that I thought was about to happen. Shortly thereafter, we started hosting a couples Bible study at our home. Everybody from our church, it was basically a Bible study for married people. That's really bothering me, sorry. And I was so excited that my husband agreed to host this couples Bible study. I felt very affirmed, and I felt like it was confirmation in a way that things were headed in the right direction. A few weeks into the Bible study, Joshua started doing this little disappearing act. And I remember him not being present. And so the host, my co-host for this, for the Bible study that we've volunteered to have at our home, was just MIA. And I was so embarrassed. I remember, the people from my church were so loving. They would never have judged me for that. But I felt embarrassed. I felt like I had to give an explanation of where he was and why he wasn't there. And really, I had no clue where he was. So it was hard for me to come up with an excuse for him. And I got over that making excuses for him pretty quick. But in those initial few weeks of trying to figure out what was going on, which was an ongoing theme during that first year of my marriage, I definitely tried everything I could think of. And this was a very small part of one of those tactics or resources or whatever solutions I tried to come up with. I was trying to make excuses for him, and I really just couldn't explain it away. So ultimately, I was pretty humiliated. And I remember, choosing to do his laundry and still, make dinner while I was still working. And there were so many days that I just didn't feel like, I don't feel like vacuuming. I'm not going to be vacuuming. He doesn't deserve for me to vacuum this room, so I'm just not going to do it. And I remember hearing the Lord say, Katie, I know you do not want to do this for him. But I also know that you care about being an excellent wife. And sometimes we have to do things and not that vacuuming makes you an excellent wife or making the bed or doing the laundry. This is just things that in my struggle to try to punish my husband for not behaving how I wanted him to behave, that was kind of my way of retaliating, because I knew those were things that he appreciated and things that he expected. The Lord said, I know you really do desire to be an excellent wife. So do you feel like, even though you feel like you can't do it for Josh, can you do it for me? And I would be like, yeah, Lord, I can do this load of laundry for you. And I remember doing many acts in those first few months of my marriage, really just out of a decision to be obedient to God or try to honor the Lord in my role as a wife, because at the end of the day and at the end of our lives, we do have to answer for how we behave, regardless of what other people do. And I did want to be as excellent as I could. And it didn't matter what Josh was doing or not doing. I still had to answer for Katie. And that was kind of how I got through that, was just remembering, okay, well, he's not doing things that he's supposed to do, and not doing things that I think he should do. But that doesn't give me a reason to not do what I'm supposed to do, or not be kind and not, extend grace. I definitely shared my displeasure with him, but I tried to do it in a way that was, one, I didn't want him to freak out, because I felt like he was a little bit of a wild card, and I wasn't quite sure what the lines were that might set him off. I didn't want to piss him off too badly, but at the same time, I did want him to know that I was still handling my responsibilities, even though I didn't feel like he was always holding up his end of the deal. But during that time, I for sure developed a lot of grace growing, and also learning how to be responsible for me and for my actions, regardless of what he did or didn't do that I felt like he should. So there was a few months post first relapse where I was still working and still maintaining our home, still holding out hope that these miracles were going to be happening pretty quick, even though I wasn't really seeing them just yet. And May rolls around, and it's Josh's birthday. Now, he had kind of held it together. I had no real proof of any drug or alcohol use the disappearing acts definitely were awfully suspect, but I didn't have any tangible evidence of, him using drugs or drinking. And my dad had this company-wide party for both the builders and the real estate agents that were selling in the neighborhood, his neighborhoods, plural. Also, everyone from the front office that dealt with the corporate side of things. And it happened to fall on Josh's birthday. So there were about 200 people at my parents' home, and it was just a huge barbecue pool party. There was a DJ, and it was Josh's birthday. So of course I was going to have a cake for him. Side fact about Joshua, that I'll share more about later, but and I didn't know this at the time, has this aversion to birthdays. And had I known that, I would not have had a cake for him and, gone out of my way to make him feel very celebrated, or try to make him feel celebrated on his birthday, and so publicly. But I remember all throughout the day, he just kept going missing. And I'd be like, has anyone seen Josh? Does anybody know where he is? And I could kind of tell as things went on, he was a little bit off. He kept wanting the DJ to play this song that was very inappropriate for kids. And there was, a whole bunch of kids and families there. And I thought that was strange. Well, before we were supposed to have dinner with his parents that evening, I definitely wanted to bring this cake out and celebrate his birthday in front of all of my coworkers and my family. And, so we had the DJ make an announcement. Hey, we are going to sing happy birthday to Josh. We're going to cut the cake. So we bring out this birthday cake, and Josh at this point, we have everyone's attention. So all 200 people are, looking at him, and he's having a hard time standing up, but we're already, it's too late to stop. We've already made the announcement. We're already starting to sing. And I'm realizing, as is everybody else, that this boy is just out of his mind, hammered. And he grabs this knife that is used to cut large pieces of meat, not a cake. I mean, it was massive. And he grabs it to try to cut the cake, and he's falling all over the place, almost stabbing himself and other people. And he couldn't blow out the candles. He could barely stand up. I mean, I was just mortified. And I'm like, okay, well, we are going to go. I don't know how we're going to get through this dinner with his mother and father. That's a good, 25 to 30-minute drive away. But I told him to get in the passenger seat, and he really just loved when I drove him. But I didn't care. I was driving, obviously, and Julia was in the back, and she had a very clear picture. She had a very clear viewing point of both Josh in the passenger seat and me driving. She had spent a very long time creating this homemade birthday card for him, and drew him a picture with it and gave it to him as we got in the car to go have dinner with his mom and dad. And he had the picture. Of course, she was 4. She had obviously no idea he was drinking or what even drunk was. And he looked at the picture in the car that she drew him, and he just balled it up and threw it kind of at me, and it landed in near the console of the car. And I looked at him I said, did you just crumble up the picture that Julia drew you in your birthday card? He was like, oh, she didn't see that. And I said, she most certainly did see it. And he was like, and you've just made a big deal about it. And he got very mad at me, and he just punched the windshield while I was driving, and just he punched it hard. I mean, it shattered in front of my child. So I was not happy. I slammed on my brakes. I made sure there was no one behind me, obviously, but we're on the highway. And I was like, get the F out of my car right now. Go, get out, get out, get out, get out. And he just looked at me like, I know she's not about to make me get out of this car on the highway. And I was absolutely. And he got out, and I didn't give a crap where he went. I didn't care what he did. but I was so irate. And I called his mom and dad and I said, well, your son is drunk. He just smashed my windshield, which Joshua had broken already. Several things car related. And this kind of became an ongoing theme as the months went on. But, Julia was very scared, very upset. Her feelings were hurt. And as a mother, I'm going to be very protective of my daughter. I mean, she was 4. Of course, I'm going to be protective of my kids always. But I was not okay with his behavior. And, I had drank in my life. And I was always very happy when I drank. I never had that level of anger or whatever you want to call it. But I was always a very happy person when I was drinking. So I was super pissed about the whole thing. I told his parents, hey, we're not coming to dinner. They were already at the restaurant. And told them what happened, and they were like, okay, well, I don't even really remember what they said. I was so pissed off. So I went back to my mom and dad's house and started telling them what had gone on. And we get a phone call from the police, and they said that they had gotten a call from this Joshua had walked through the woods to this gas station and had made a call on the payphone. I don't remember who he was calling, but they had seen this man with a, very bloody hand. They recognized him, and they, knew he was married to me or whatever. I guess they called my parents' house, and they said, we can bring him to you, or you can come up and get him. So my dad and his friend drove up to this gas station and got Josh. And I remember he was sitting between my dad and his friend, who were both, pretty big guys, not as big as Josh, but, the friend especially was pretty large. And by the time they got home, just a few minutes down the street, this man's truck, Joshua, had torn off the rearview mirror in his anger. And when he got home, he got out of the truck and went to his truck. So now, thank God, a lot of the people from the party had now left. But there was still enough people. There was still probably 15 or 20 people there, of more of our closer friends and all of our family. Josh got a bat out of his truck, and I don't really know why he had it in there, but he had it in there, and he just went ape shit on all manner of things, smashing cars. Oh my gosh, he smashed the side mirror off of that guy's car that he had already ripped the rearview mirror off of. He was just breaking everything. He finally snapped the bat in half, and I looked at my dad. I was like, well, we're calling the police. They've already been notified that this man's, drunk, disturbing the peace, or whatever you want to call it. And I wasn't having it. That's just not, it was so not okay. And I'm thinking, oh my God, now I'm going to have to pay for all these people's cars that he's effing up, including my own. So we called the police, and they came and they handcuffed him, and he looked at me, and he was, oh my God, he was so mad at me. He was handcuffed, so his hands were tied behind, handcuffed behind his back, and he said, DIVORCE. I looked at him and I said, oh, you can spell. Very good. Very, very good. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know if he was serious or if he was just drunk and pissed off. I did know he was drunk and pissed off, but on the inside, I was dying because now I'm 5.5 or 6 months pregnant. I'm thinking, am I going to get a divorce? Is this what, this is just, this sucks. This whole thing sucks. I was so embarrassed. I was frustrated, very, very disappointed. And I watched them take Josh off to jail. Now, I found out, I guess they just kind of held him in the drunk tank or whatever they do. But he got out of jail that next morning, or maybe in the middle of the night, and walked along a good long ways, got in a fight with a bunch of guys on his way to his grandmother's house, and that's where he ended up ultimately at his grandmother's house. And at some point, I guess she called me or he called me, and he was ready to come back home, but I was very, very unsure of who this person was and exactly what to do with him. In the coming weeks, I can tell you I tried every single tactic. I came at it from every single angle of trying to tackle this, what turned into a addiction that was wildly out of control. But obviously, I found out that you really didn't matter what I did or didn't do. I mean, I think that I made some very, very good decisions during the coming weeks, but they were very hard for me. I mean, it was very hard for me to see my husband look at me and say divorce, after we've not even been married for 6 months yet. Let me check on the time. How are we doing, Cash? 10-minute warning. So I need to make a game time decision here. Yeah, I think I should leave it. I think we should hit pause because, the next thing I want to share is kind of a sequence of events that also has to do with a birthday, mine specifically. And I think I'm going to be out of time to really convey all of that information. But I can tell you, at this point, I definitely asked my parents what I'm supposed to do. My sweet mother, in fact, I talked to my mom today and I asked her if she remembered anything especially specific about this event. And we started talking about crack, and it just took me back to a place that I never want to feel those feelings again. It was such a dark time, and I can assure you next week is not going to be any lighter. It's going to be a little bit worse, but this event was the very, very start of a very fast downward spiral that I lost hope, started losing hope pretty quickly. And I would say that this event was it just kind of catapulted me into some serious uncharted territory, as if marriage itself wasn't uncharted territory. But I will continue to share all the different ways of how I myself tried to make the adjustment before I really started to rely on God to help me figure out those things and learn how to do it in a way that was going to be effective for me personally. It may not have been effective for Josh, but it helped teach me and refine me and show me what to do, what my next step was. And for those things, I can tell you I'm extremely grateful. I'm as awful as this day was and the coming months were, God used all of it. And we will delve more into that and a lot more in the weeks to come. But yes, I'm going to run out of time. Cash?
Yeah.
So, you're okay if I hit pause, right?
Yeah, I'm completely okay if you hit pause. That's a you decision.
That's a me decision?
That's a you decision.
Okay. Well, hey, I like to be the boss. Oh, I definitely did not like feeling so out of control during my marriage. God, that was awful. And anyway, I'm hitting pause. So stay tuned. But last week we talked a little bit about dating, and I watched our show back. I did. And I have to apologize to you.
To me or?
To you.
To me, oh.
Yes, to you personally, because I felt like the first 10 or 15 minutes, I felt it it appeared and sounded like I was either dating you, trying to date you, or crushing on you very hard. I'm like, as I'm finding out, Cash is a very good person to date.
Well, I just share a lot of my life with you. We're becoming closer and closer friends, and so yeah, of course you're gonna boost my ego. So I had no problem with you, giving me all the praise in the world. Now my coworkers would probably think otherwise and be like, you should not do that, but.
No, I wasn't even trying to boost your ego. That's what's like, I mean, I'm glad it did. I'm glad that, you should give credit where credit's due, obviously. But I feel like, if people played the tape out or, watched the end of the podcast, there was some clarification, I think, there, maybe,
Yeah,
hopefully.
there definitely was.
As I was like, yeah, I don't have time to date you. I'm not trying, not you personally, just people in general. Right. But, we have talked about dating. And I have been very fascinated by just the difference in dating now, versus how it was when I was single pre-marriage. You asked me if the Colton dating thing was real. It was a real pain in my ass, I can tell you that. But, I've kind of blocked it out of my mind. I feel like I've completely disassociated myself from that entire situation.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
I mean, I have. I do not receive it. I don't own it. I just, no. I can't even. But aside from that, and I don't count it. I haven't dated. And hearing you chat about all of the, what dating's like, all the dating apps.
Yeah, it's a completely different game now.
So we are, let's just officially introduce, this is going to be Cash's 2 cents. And
My 2 cents.
I'm probably going to need more than 2 cents, but, I'll take what I can get because I know I'm on the clock. But, do you want to share with me and everybody else, entry-level dating 101 in 2020 and what it's like? Say again?
In 2020, yeah, I could definitely do that, kind of a short version. I won't go too far into anything.
We'll save some nuggets for next week.
Yeah,
but
I have some great stories,
and I can't wait to hear them.
Yeah, I know.
After you have to sit through all my stories, what's fair is fair. You gotta.
Well, for one, I've never been a huge dater. Usually, I'm more of a relationship guy.
Okay.
So I'm 30 years old now, and had girlfriends in high school, college, and usually they were all the longer relationship type. So I never really, as soon as I got out of one, I kind of was single for maybe 6 months to a year and then got back into another long relationship.
That's still I feel like a pretty long time.
Yeah, but I didn't really date. I wasn't aggressively dating. Once broke up with somebody, I didn't jump back into everything. And
see Joshua, obviously, and also Blair, who, got a lot of people pregnant. Josh he would not leave a relationship without having another one lined up, already in process. He's never been single as long as I've known him.
Someone waiting in the wings, essentially.
Yeah, he had already, secured that before. He's never been single. So, the fact that you waited 6 months to a year, I think is pretty good.
Yeah, it gives you some time maybe for some closure to get over some things and kind of focus on you, reevaluate, and then when you're ready, jump back in and see what it's all about. And certainly a lot can change in 6 months to a year. Or when you're in a relationship for longer and longer, then maybe it's been 4 or 5 years and then things really change.
There was a Sex and the City episode that they had this theory that it took you half as long, I think, to get over the relationship as it did, for you to while you were in it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So if it was 3 years, took you a year and a half, I don't really buy that whole thing because I think relationships are all different and people are different, but whatever.
Agreed.
But how long has it been since you've been in a serious relationship?
It has been a little over a year, maybe a year and a half, because we were trying to work on things and it didn't really work. So just kind of how it went. And yeah, so it's been about a year, I would say.
So you're actively looking.
Yeah, I'm on. So 2020, dating 2020. it's a lot about apps. Everything, I mean, most everything is on our phones now, and
Yeah.
dating is now a part of it. So, I mean, you had Tinder. I think Tinder was one of the original ones. And certainly people have had success. I've heard stories of people finding their loved ones, their soulmates on Tinder and eHarmony and Match and all those. I don't know if the eHarmony is an app. I think it was originally just like a website.
Oh, surely they have to have an app now.
Well, they
I would
probably have an
think.
app now, but Tinder was really, I guess, the app one, and I'm not on Tinder. I think it's more of like a DTF kind of app.
Like, let's get down to business.
Yeah, more like like a one night stand kind of thing. I'm sure for some people it's not that, but
For by and large, like, we know what's up if we're both on Tinder.
yeah,
Like,
I feel like a lot of people would agree that for the most everyone, that's kind of maybe what it's used for. And then there's Hinge, there's Bumble. Bumble is one where girls start the conversation
yeah, I'm on Bumble against my will. I mean, like,
against your will.
well, Julia, she put me on there a while ago.
As all daughters do.
Yes, as all daughters do. Thanks, Julia. I need to take it down, but I never think about it. And unless somebody, Instagrams me and they're like, "Oh, I saw you on Bumble." I'm like, "Oh, no."
Wait, so they go straight to your DMs? They don't even.
They go straight to the DMs. I don't know if I guess they can't reach out to me on Bumble because
No, they can't.
it's ladies first,
Yeah,
right?
You have to start.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, nah, I don't know. I mean, I could see probably not. I'm probably not into that, actually. But
Yeah, it's not my. I've had probably less success with Bumble just because a lot of the conversations, girls, it's up to them to start, and a lot of them they expire. I don't know. It's because they're just not paying attention, or maybe they just lose interest. I have no idea.
yeah, if there's a time limit, well,
There
we
is,
know
there
how
is.
I feel about a time
you
limit.
get-
I am not into it.
So
I'm not into a time limit, a speed limit. I do not like being told what to do.
Yeah, so you both match up, and the girl has 24 hours to respond, and if it doesn't, then it expires, and expires forever essentially, unless Bumble like rematches y'all.
Yeah, I wouldn't be into that. I can't be forced into a.
But I have discovered one small thing, like so with, and this is just a generalization, and in my experience, what I've seen, it doesn't speak for everything, but 20-year-olds, maybe they have a little bit more going on, or I don't know. They're less likely. It's more likely that the time will expire without them saying hello. But
I can assure you, if I was on Bumble, the time would expire. And I'm not 20.
You're not.
No.
But I have messaged, or not messaged, but matched up with 30-year-olds, and they are more inclined to start.
Probably because they're feeling like, oh gosh, my eggs are.
They think they're on a time clock.
Yeah, probably. If they haven't been married, if they really want to get married, yes.
Hubby hunting.
I would think they're hubby hunting. Which, no offense, ladies that are 30 on Bumble. Like, go for it. Do your thing. Get your man.
Yeah, by all means.
However
I
it
mean,
works for you.
Yeah, and so and maybe they're just more experienced and they know what they want. And a lot of
Probably that has
20-year-olds
something to
might
do
not.
with it.
Yeah. So that's in my experience. The 30-year-olds
Are more responsive.
Yeah, more responsive, more aggressive. And with Hinge, I have more success on Hinge, and it kind of isn't everybody's. I think it's more classy. I don't know.
So someone told me that Colton was on Hinge.
Ooh.
And I would really love to see that. No, actually, I wouldn't. Actually, I would not love to see that profile. I don't know how I would access it anyway, but evidently it is a sight to behold.
Yeah, well, they all have their icebreakers and everything like that. I don't know what his icebreakers would be, but I'm sure it'd be interesting.
Oh, yeah. I'll let other people discover that. So you go out pretty much, and I know, we're short on time here, but answer this last question for me.
Yeah.
About how many dates a month? If you're able to share, do you actually go on from a dating app?
I usually.
And you can plead the fifth on any of these questions. Like, I'm not trying to,
No, I
you
mean,
know.
even if a girl is out there that I've been on a date with, or I don't know. The answer is I usually go on maybe like 1 or 2 a week. I'm casually dating.
That 1 or 2 a week. That's like, that's a pretty big return on your investment, I think, on the dating app. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the same people, like second dates. It's not always like first dates. So
Well, I can't wait to hear all about your dating stories because you're going to have to, we will continue this conversation and you're going to enlighten me on all things, all things dating, and I'll just live vicariously through you since I'm not interested at the moment, but I am interested in all your stories.
well, it's a lot of fun. So I'll be more than happy to share and kind of loop back around on this topic.
Oh, well, I look forward to it. And next week, assuming, we continue, like, we're not all quarantined to our home, I'll be having my first guest. So I get to share my skincare routine. I have my esthetician on. So I'm looking very forward to that. And then the following week, we will pick back up where we left off with all of the drama that was the first year of my marriage. And of course, hearing all about your dating.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week. I hope everyone stays safe and stays healthy. And thank you so much for joining me this week on When Life Throws You a Curve and how to make the adjustment. Come find me on social media on Instagram and Twitter at Katie Hamilton 32, on Facebook at Katie Hamilton, and at When Life Throws You a Curve 32, and on YouTube at Katie Hamilton.